Hello, I'm Jay Gloom.
And I'm professional mess, Yvonnedeculo.
And welcome to the Victory Lap,
where we will be reviewing the latest episode of Season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
So this week's episode was a musical challenge themed around the 80s and Blondie and all that good stuff.
We were spared this week of a boring mini challenge because, let's be real, the last several have been quite underwhelming.
The queens were separated into 3 teams with 3 queens in each team. They were each given a different genre of new wave 80s music that they had to do their own take on. They had to create their own 80s band, their own look, their own name, and write lyrics to a semi-original song.
I was so worried for this week's challenge because generally the queens are not the greatest singers.
Once we actually got into it, we have queens with a lot of personality this season, and one thing is for sure, if you can't make it, you can fake it, and we have queens who are good at faking it this season.
Like I'm always doing. That was my best RuPaul impersonation. Thank you, I'll be here all night. Yvonnedeculo, you're more boring than most of the guest judges we've had this season. My dear, you are heading home.
Woo! So this week we thought we'd do things a little differently, and instead of just sort of ranting ad nauseum about the episode, we're gonna do something different where we just go from queen to queen and we sort of talk about either their highlights or their lowlights for this episode, neither of which made it into this hair. This is all just one color.
I do not appreciate you coming for me right now.
Let's get started.
So let's start with Acid Betty.
I love a good bitch. Every season, God knows, they bring the drama, and that's always interesting. But there's just something about Acid Betty's bitchiness that is just, I don't know, it's almost sociopathic bitchiness. There's just something a little too calculating and a little too intelligent behind her bitchiness that I would rather see her use that for like clever reading and clever shade, and she's just being flat out bitch. But in this episode, she did good. I didn't like her main challenge look. It was cute, but she definitely stuck out from her teammates in a bad way.
This is the same wig that she wore during the Season 8 promo. And that's how you know she didn't win Drag Race, because she only has the same 3 wigs.
I did really like her runway look. I thought it was interesting. I didn't want to, but I really did enjoy it.
Her runway was so fierce, and I am so incredibly upset that this runway was skimmed over. It was just like, here's the runway. This one, that one, this one. Okay, Blondie. Her runway gave me like Sailor Moon Monster.
Yes.
It just with less tits. Bob the Drag Queen.
Bob butted heads with Lucien a little bit, which is always upsetting.
It's a farce.
How could
Lucien
you butt heads with Lucien?
is the sweetest, most handsomest, prettiest silver fox on all of Drag Race history.
I thought Bob was great. I mean, there's not a lot to say because Bob is just, she's doing a Bianca. She is sailing.
In my opinion, Bob is kind of there right now, and I feel like once we kind of knock off a few more girls, if she sticks around long enough, I feel like we'll get a little more of Bob, but right now I feel like she's kind of just there. Let's move on to Thorgy Thor.
What is there to say about Thorgy Thor other than she is fabulous?
Thorgy is human sunshine.
She did a wonderful job this episode. Her 80s look was so on point.
And her runway was so fabulous.
Her runway was
art.
Adorable. It was definitely like 80s pop art. And I think there were a couple things she could have done to take it a little further. There was a lot going on with Acid Betty, and even more going on with Kim Chi's look. But Michelle didn't critique those, but she did critique Thorgy's. And I think it was because Thorgy landed in that space where it was just below the full pop art and just above drag makeup, if that makes sense.
It does.
So I think if Thorgy had just taken it a little further and done, you know, maybe even the dots or something, which is very overplayed, so I can understand why she wouldn't want to. But if she had just done a few more things, maybe done like the line down the face, like it's, you know, an extra shadow on the nose, something, maybe Michelle like would have been a little more appreciative of it. But I think it was just that she tried to take that pop art, like silhouetted, drawn line look and turn it into actual drag makeup, that it didn't hit the right note for Michelle.
I thought it was fierce.
I loved it, but I can understand why Michelle was a little bit like, and I would have lost the earrings. Her Rubik's Cube earrings
They were so cute. Shut up.
No, they were adorable, but But
listen, Santino, you are wrong. You are absolutely fucking wrong, Santino.
Coupled with everything.
This is why you were no longer on Drag Race. P.S. Big Black Beans was probably one of the funniest things that I've ever heard on Drag Race.
And shout out to that team for having so much choreography.
Their choreo was amazing.
I think that maybe like their song. Actually, no, everything about them was really,
they
really
were
good.
perfect.
I don't understand why they weren't the winning team.
And even their runways, I think, comparatively were better than the winning team. Let's talk about Kimchi.
What about Kimchi?
I loved her look in the challenge. I thought she looked so natural.
She looks real good with red hair.
She does.
She looks real good.
And she toned down her makeup, and she looked really amazing. And then her runway look was so fabulous. That Cirque du Soleil
it was nuts.
Hot.
I'm sad like that they didn't talk about it more. But again, like she was on the winning team, so like she didn't have to stay around for the judges' critiques. But I wanted more of it too because I wanted to see how.
It was so intricate, and I'm sure that Kimchi is probably so upset that was one of her more intricate looks that she's ever done, and they focused like this long on it.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for Untucked, so I can just see her sitting in it and talking about it.
Naomi Smalls
was so boring.
She was so extra.
So extra. I think Naomi is beautiful, and I don't want to sound like, because I rag on her every week, and I don't want it to seem like I hate her, because I think she's beautiful.
She's
I think
fierce.
she's fierce. I
so
love
fierce.
her Instagram. It's just she's not showing me personality. In other seasons, it wouldn't be so obvious, but because we have so many personalities this season, even Derrick has more personality.
She would have done great in season 7.
She would have done good in season 7. She would have done good in a season with like someone like
season
Raven.
2.
Yeah, because even like Raven is fierce, but Raven is very like mellow, and that's the kind of attitude Naomi has, which is not bad. It's just in the context of everyone else, it's not enough. Robbie Turner. Robbie Turner classic movie.
Robbie really turned it out this week as far as her performance goes, and I feel like she really went leaps and bounds from last week. Do I think that she deserves to win?
I think she definitely was the spearhead of her team. I mean, I bought it. I bought the performance, the whole punk thing.
And I think why they won was because they really embodied what drag is, which is irreverent. And they were super irreverent towards each other, towards the competition, just making fun of the challenge in itself by making it about food and spices and sauce and shit.
They definitely...
Like, they took it seriously in a joking way, and I feel like that's what made them win. I think that her runway was kind of boring, though.
All I have to say, though, is it's a good thing that she was safe this week, because I think... or that she was the winner. Because I think that if she had gotten critiqued for that dress, I think it would have been harsh.
Yes. I agree.
Because it was very flat. It hit the neon category, but the hair and makeup didn't rise to the occasion with the dress, and the dress looked flat. It needed pattern, it needed more accessories, it just needed something. It looked like
it needed more.
You know what it looked like? It looked
what
like...
it looked like?
I'll tell you what it looked like. It looked like a princess party dress. Like when you hire a princess for your party.
That's what I felt about her week 2 runway.
Her Vera Wang red gown.
I thought it looked tacky.
You know what? I'm glad that Robbie redeemed herself, and I'm glad that she turned things around. And my opinion of her changed slightly because she did really put in the effort this episode, and I care about that. I want to see the girls put in the effort.
So let's talk about Naysha Lopez, who went home this week.
Again.
Aww.
I think Rue's just trying to get rid of the girls who use their natural brows this season.
I think that Naysha is so pretty. I thought Naysha's outfit was gorgeous, flawless, literally the category to a T. I don't think that she was that awful in the challenge, and I don't personally think that she should have been in the bottom 2 lip syncing. I think that she should have been in the bottom 3. I don't think she was awful though.
I slightly agree, slightly disagree. I agree that I would have rather seen someone else on her team be in the bottom. Because I think, you know, her runway outfit, Naysha's runway, was so fierce that it really like made up for some shortcomings in the performance.
And it was neon.
I think though that her outfit for the challenge, like she had that circle on her head, but it didn't quite work. The hair was almost 80s, but something was a little off about it. It was the wrong kind of 80s hair. And I think what hurt Naysha the most actually was that she hid behind that damn little keyboard guitar.
Gigi Devane.
She just seemed to grumble about everything. I understood where she was coming from, like that she knew, like compared to especially Derrick and Naysha, that she just did not have the looks.
I think what's happening with Chi-Chi is that she is realizing that the other girls came with so much more than she had, and I think she was kind of expecting it to almost be like last season, where there were about 2 or 3 really strong players in the fashion department, but everybody else kind of brought, you know, easy, accessible drag, where she didn't really bring that.
Yes.
And I feel like it's kind of hard for her realizing that she is that type of queen. And I feel for her, and I'm sure Yara Sofia feels for her too.
I feel like she should have tried to push through that and been a little more of a team player instead of just basically being like, whatever y'all want to do, I got shit of my own to deal with.
Because bottom line is, if you really need that money, if you really need to win that $100,000, you're gonna push harder than anybody else is pushing because you need that money more than anyone else.
Right, and what's happening is she's kind of letting the fact that she needs that money and isn't at the level of some of the other girls overtake her, and it's putting her lower and lower. And she's doing kind of bare minimums, even though, you know, she's like, I don't have fabric. She's a seamstress. She can make costumes, and she has a whole wall of fabric
that they let her have access to.
She has all of the supplies to make looks for the runway. And what does she make for this runway?
A gross ass leotard.
She made a gross leotard.
She didn't even sin. She probably borrowed that belt from Thorgy.
She borrowed that belt from Thorgy.
She probably did. I mean, she was lip syncing.
She wore the same boots that she wore in the Maxi Challenge. And I
can't clock her for that. I have 6 pairs of shoes to my name.
Okay, but at least put on a different pair of shoes.
Side note, we got the shade tree back this episode.
It's back!
It finally happened. It's because we mentioned it last week.
We received. You're welcome.
I think I'm just mostly miffed about the fact that she specifically said in her Meet the Queens that she would have slayed in the Broadway or singing challenge, and what happened? She was lip syncing.
Ooh.
How are y'all gonna have the gall to be like, I would slay in this challenge, but then you fail at it? What?
She was actually the best in her group.
She was the best singer, which is why I do not think she deserved to be at the bottom 2. Yes, she was detached. Yes, she didn't want to be there, but I don't think that showed on the runway. I don't think that showed during the challenge.
No.
Let's talk about Derrick Barry, who I personally feel should have been the other one in the bottom 2. It should have been Naysha and Derrick. Bottom line.
We definitely have a Miss Fame thing going. You've mentioned it before, where...
And an Adore.
And an Adore, where there's no reason why this queen should not be in the bottom. So I don't know what's going on, because honestly, like, I thought Derrick's look for the challenge was really, really good. Derrick sucked in rehearsals, but did turn it out for the performance.
But still.
But the problem with Derrick during the performance for me was when the spotlight wasn't on her, it was almost like Tracy Martel in the...
Oh, in the Tan With You video.
Where she's like giving it for when it's her solo lines and then just...
walking away. Wait, was it supposed to be here?
That's what Derrick was giving me during the Maxi Challenge, where when it was all her, she was there and she was giving it. And then when it was the other girls, she was just like...
Well, and my biggest problem was that her outfit wasn't neon, it was rainbow.
Her runway challenge was not truly...
It was like a neon-inspired pastel rainbow.
It almost looked like something like I've seen on Marco Marco runways.
Yes.
It was pretty. It was
pretty. Beautiful. It was very, very pretty. But it was not neon.
It was not neon.
No,
it was definitely
it was not.
lackluster. And I don't understand, I said it earlier when we were talking, I don't understand how a half on, half off performance in the main challenge coupled with a lackluster runway look gets you safe when Chi-Chi gave a great performance, had a good, you know, presence, and did the best in the challenge.
And just had a bad runway.
And it wasn't even like the worst runway. Like Chi-Chi's makeup was...
It was fierce.
Fierce. She has never looked so fishy than she did in this runway. And yeah, it was... I mean, she literally looked like she stole an outfit from Layla McQueen. And it was unfortunate. But, like, I didn't think it was so bad to put Chi-Chi in the bottom instead of Derrick.
No. Derrick should have been in the bottom every single week.
And it is fantastically just mind-blowing.
It's a farce.
It is a bit farcical that she is not landing in the bottom.
And the problem is that I really want to like Derrick.
I do too.
And so it's upsetting that she is not performing well and that I'm so frustrated with her. And I think maybe that's it, because I want her to do so well. She was so likable in Meet the Queen.
She was.
She's so likable in her Instagram and everything that I see of her. But then on Drag Race, it's just like, you are not performing what you can be doing. to the best of your ability.
I definitely didn't like the idea of Derrick before the show started. I saw them meet the queens and I was like, I'm gonna love her. She's great. She's got that kind of, natural fish, female impersonator vibe that Willem and Courtney had. But then she had like this sweet kind of lovable personality. Mm-hmm. And then she gets on the show and then she's just lackluster and then she's just making all these excuses, and whenever somebody tries to critique her, she just claps back without even thinking, just like from such a defensive place.
Roxy Andrews.
Yeah, such a Roxy Andrews place, and it's just like, I want her to do better, and I think I understand what Michelle means when she says she gets frustrated with the queens because she knows they can do better and they're not delivering. I think that's how I feel with Derrick.
And I appreciated the reference to Chad Michaels because Chad does share all the time. Shares what Chad does. But Chad can also do anything else that Chad puts his mind to. And Derrick is only doing Britney, and when he's not doing Britney, he's doing half-ass versions of Taylor Swift and of Katy Perry. In this performance, he was giving Taylor Swift.
Yeah, with the bangs and the eye makeup and... I mean, who knew? Derrick Barry can add 2 new female pop stars onto his celebrity
No, Jake
show.
Jolie will kill him.
Well, Jake Jolie can take her jacked up teeth and...
She can only do one look.
I want to give a shout out to Rue this week because Rue was in good spirits, which was very nice to see.
Very happy today.
Because Rue has not been very happy the last couple episodes. Like,
this was like Rue in the Despy Awards. Like, you can tell that Rue felt so good about the way that she looked.
Rue was
and the
happy.
outfit.
Yeah.
And it was like in the Despy Awards where she came out, it was like, you feel cute and you can see it on your face. She came out and she felt like everything, and so that kind of
she felt
reflected
cute.
her attitude.
She was having fun. She was making jokes. Her whole joke about the bus thing, like, everybody keeps mentioning the bus. What is this bus? Wait, is it running?
It just hurts that I was left. Nobody cared.
The lip sync was so fierce, and I appreciate that Naysha actually knew the words to this song.
Good
I
for
thought
her.
they both really turned it out, but Chi-Chi turned it out more than Naysha.
Chi-Chi turned it out more than Naysha.
And I'm not sad that Naysha's gone.
I'm not either. Naysha was definitely getting like that ode to desperation about halfway through the lip sync. Like, she knew she was getting out lip synced by Chi-Chi, and Chi-Chi was doing like those tricks, but Chi-Chi's tricks didn't come across as desperate. It just looked like, hey, look what
That's
I can
her
do.
thing?
Call me! And you were like, yes! Whereas Naysha was like, oh shit, I should probably do like a twist or something.
So next week, we have the Snatch Game! I am so excited for Snatch Game, and we know that Thorgy's gonna be doing Michael Jackson. And I really hope that this is Thorgy's prime and Thorgy wins this one.
I hope Thorgy
And
wins too.
she's in the top left corner. And we know,
It's a
with
good
the exception
spot.
of Violet, this is like the top 3 corner.
It's a good spot.
It's a
to
good
be.
spot to be.
I'm a little worried about Acid Betty because we've seen in the past that sometimes Snatch Game gets a little oddly confrontational, and Acid Betty is the personality type that will make it confrontational, and I'm worried about that. But we'll see what happens next week.
And the rumor mill is spouting out that she's going to get disqualified, which I don't know. I feel like you have to do something really bad to get disqualified. I think that the ones in danger next week are going to be Acid Betty, Kimchi, and Naomi.
I would agree with that, and unless Robbie finds something that she can really nail, which will probably be like a 40s starlet,
Oh my gosh, what if she does what's her name from American Horror Story?
I think she could
Jessica
try
Lange.
Jessica Lange.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think she could do a good Jessica Lange, looks-wise. I don't think she could do it character-wise. My hope is Robbie's smart and does like Norma Desmond from Sunset Boulevard.
Or does Jinx. And then Kimchi can do Trixie. We could just have a big like homage to the old queens.
I think bottom 4 will be Naomi, Robbie, Kimchi, and Acid Betty. But we'll just have to see.
We also got some very sweet comments from many of you from last week, so thank you for all those. I read every single one of them. I want to pull them up, but for some reason my phone will not let me. It's being weird with the comment section right now, so I'm planning on going through and responding to comments from now on rather than trying to address them here in the video. Someone also asked if we could talk about Untucked. We film these videos before Untucked airs, so I might do something on my own with that. I'll show you how to untuck. One ball at a time. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Victory Lap.
We'll be here next week, whether you want us to or not.
Say goodbye to her.